3 seconds. Sometimes, that's all it takes. 3 seconds for a lifetime of prejudice to crystallize into a single, devastating decision. For Sandra Mukku, a veteran gate agent at Regalis Airways, those 3 seconds were enough. Enough to look at Nathaniel Cole, standing tall in his flawless custom suit, radiating quiet dignity, and decide he didn't belong. His skin, you see, that's all she registered. The deep, rich hue that, in her mind, disqualified him from the hushed sanctuary of the first-class lounge. The bespoke tailoring, the platinum cufflinks glinting at his wrists, the air of effortless command, irrelevant, invisible. Security, she whispered, her voice tight, eyes narrowing with a suspicion honed over years of seeing difference as danger. Passengers nearby, sensing the shift in atmosphere, instinctively averted their gaze, pretending to be engrossed in phones or magazines. All except one, a young intern named Jamal, whose eyes widened in horrified recognition. He knew that face. What Sandra couldn't see, what her snap judgment blinded her to, was the empire Nathaniel had meticulously built from the ashes of a broken childhood. The technological marvels birthed from his mind. The billions, yes, billions with a B, that flowed through the global economy because of his innovations. As uniformed security guards, summoned by Sandra's prejudice, politely but firmly escorted him away, Nathaniel's face remained an unreadable mask. He betrayed nothing. But as he reached the edge of the lounge, away from prying eyes, he made one quiet call. His calm, steely voice spoke into the phone. Protocol Raven. Begin observation mode. Full spectrum engagement. 5 words. 5 quiet words that sealed the fate of Regalis Airways. They thought they were removing an unwelcome guest, tidying up their pristine, exclusive space. Instead, they had just declared war. Not a war of bombs and bullets, but a war of information, strategy, and leverage. A war against a man who hadn't just stumbled into wealth, but had spent his entire life dissecting systems, predicting patterns, and preparing for the exact moment when ingrained discrimination would finally collide with unstoppable power. A moment where injustice would meet its match. Before we dive deep into how Nathaniel Cole dismantled an airline piece by piece, I'm curious, where are you watching from today? Drop a comment below. Let us know. And if you find yourself drawn into stories like this, stories of resilience, strategy, and ultimate justice, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next. Now, back to the calm before the storm. It began, as these things often do, with deceptive tranquility. The sleek black Bentley Ghost, silent as a shadow, glided to a halt at the departures terminal of Washington National Airport. James, the chauffeur, immaculate in his uniform, emerged to open the rear door. Inside, Nathaniel Cole made a final adjustment to his platinum cufflinks, a quiet reminder of the day his first billion-dollar deal closed. He gathered his supple leather portfolio. The chauffeur asked respectfully, "Will you be needing any assistance with your luggage, Mr. Cole?" Nathaniel replied calmly, authoritatively, "Just the carry-on, James. I travel light these days." He stepped onto the curb, a striking figure. 42 years old, his custom Tom Ford suit hinting at the athletic build beneath. He moved with the quiet confidence of a man utterly secure in his own skin, his own worth, a confidence forged in crucibles Sandra Mukku couldn't possibly imagine. "Very good, sir," the chauffeur said. "Will you need pickup upon your return?" "I'll send the details once I land in San Francisco," Nathaniel instructed. "And James, take the rest of the day off. That's an order." The chauffeur smiled. "Thank you, sir." As Nathaniel entered the terminal, he felt it, that familiar, subtle shift in the air, the almost imperceptible static that always crackled around him when he entered spaces not historically designed for men who looked like him. The quick, assessing glances from travelers glued to their phones. The security guard near the entrance suddenly standing a little straighter, his gaze lingering a fraction too long. The middle-aged woman clutching her designer purse just a little tighter as he passed. He noticed it all. Decades of these microaggressions had calibrated his senses to detect them with painful accuracy. But outwardly, nothing. He kept his expression neutral, his stride even. Reacting, he'd learned long ago, was giving away power. It was letting their discomfort dictate his peace. These moments were just white noise now, an irritating but predictable hum in the symphony of his life. The first-class check-in was blessedly empty. 2 agents manned the counter. The younger one, Erica, offered an automatic, practiced smile. But the older agent, name tag, Sandra Mukku, paused mid-conversation, her eyes doing a slow, deliberate scan. Top to bottom. Assessing. Judging. Nathaniel spoke in a measured, calm voice. Good morning. Regalis Airways to San Francisco, 11:30 departure. He slid his passport and his platinum frequent flyer card across the polished counter. Sandra picked them up, her smile thin, tight, not reaching the cool calculation in her eyes. Her voice overly bright, slightly forced. She asked, "And how are you today, sir?" The pause, the slight, almost imperceptible emphasis on sir. A tiny barb, designed to prick, to remind him of his perceived place. Nathaniel maintained eye contact. "I'm well, thank you." Sandra's fingers tapped on the keyboard with unnecessary force. Clack, clack, clack. "Business or pleasure today?" she asked. "Business, I'm sure." She glanced at his ID, then back at his face, a theatrical little check as if verifying the photo wasn't enough. "Cole, Nathaniel Cole." "That's correct," Nathaniel confirmed. Sandra leaned towards Erica, whispering something just loud enough for Nathaniel to catch fragments. "That startup guy lucked into some money." Luck. That's how they dismissed it. Decades of relentless wake, groundbreaking innovation, building a multi-billion-dollar AI empire from sheer intellect and grit, reduced to luck. He'd heard it before. He simply waited. Sandra handed back the documents with obvious reluctance. "Your boarding pass, Mr. Cole. First-class passengers may proceed to the premium security lane and the first-class lounge. Boarding begins at 10:45. "Thank you," Nathaniel said. He collected his documents, feeling Sandra's eyes follow him as he walked away. A silent, simmering resentment radiating from the check-in desk. The premium security lane was swift, but predictability struck again. "Sir, you've been randomly selected for additional screening." Random? Of course. It happened nearly every time he flew, a statistical anomaly that defied all probability. He submitted to the pat-down with practiced neutrality, the familiar indignity washing over him. He didn't protest. He didn't react. He simply endured. 20 minutes later, cleansed of the minor humiliation, he approached the frosted glass doors of the Regalis Airways first-class lounge. A different agent stood at the podium, young, blonde, eager. "Ryan." His face brightened as Nathaniel approached. Ryan greeted him cheerfully. "Good morning, sir. May I see your boarding pass and ID?" Nathaniel reached for his documents, but before he could hand them over, a figure appeared, slightly breathless, cutting Ryan off. Sandra Mukku.
Sandra spoke sharply, dismissing the younger agent. "I'll handle this one, Ryan." Ryan looked momentarily confused, flustered, but stepped aside. Sandra took Nathaniel's boarding pass and ID, examining them with an exaggerated, almost theatrical scrutiny. She turned the boarding pass over, ran her finger along the edge as if searching for a hidden flaw, a telltale sign of forgery. Nathaniel asked quietly, his voice controlled, "Is there a problem?" Sandra's voice was clipped. "Just doing my job, sir. This first-class ticket, it seems unusual." Nathaniel felt the air thicken again. Nearby travelers slowed, conversations hushed. He felt the weight of their stays, the silent jury delivering its verdict based on nothing but his presence. His voice held a new edge of steel beneath the calm. "Unusual. How?" Sandra leaned in slightly, lowering her voice conspiratorially. "Well, these are very expensive seats, and we need to be sure that all passengers are in their proper place." A few feet away, an older man in a pastel golf shirt and khakis snorted audibly. The man spoke loudly enough to carry, maybe his lost. "Coach is that way, buddy." He pointed vaguely towards the main terminal. Sandra didn't correct the man, didn't defend the passenger she was supposed to be assisting. Instead, his comments seemed to embolden her. She stood straighter. "I'm going to need additional verification," Sandra declared. "This doesn't seem right. This ticket, it's probably someone else's." Did you find this boarding pass, sir? Or maybe it was purchased for you by an employer. The implication hung there, heavy and poisonous. He wasn't just potentially in the wrong place, he was potentially a thief, or at best, someone's charity case. Nathaniel slowly, deliberately, reached into his jacket, withdrew his wallet, and extracted the legendary black card. The American Express Centurion. So exclusive, it was practically mythical. He held it out. His voice perfectly level. He asked, "Will this help verify my identity?" Sandra's eyes widened for a split second, a flicker of surprise, maybe even fear, before her mask of suspicion slammed back into place. She recovered quickly. "Anyone could have that. I'm going to need to call security." She picked up the phone, turning her back slightly, dialing with a flourish. Nathaniel didn't argue, didn't raise his voice. He knew this script. Protesting now would only feed the narrative, the angry black man, escalating the situation. He simply stepped aside, his posture immaculate, his face a study in neutrality, and waited. Within minutes, a security supervisor arrived. Tall, broad-shouldered, salt and pepper hair, moving with the practiced economy of motion that often comes from military service. Nameplate, Victor Grant. Victor Grant's voice was gruff but professional. "What seems to be the problem here?" Sandra spoke, dripping with self-importance. "This gentleman is attempting to access the first-class lounge with what I believe may be fraudulent documentation." The way she spat out gentleman, pure disdain. Victor Grant turned to Nathaniel. His eyes, professional but sharp, held a brief flash of something, recognition, before the mask snapped back. "Sir, may I see your ID and boarding pass?" Victor Grant asked. Nathaniel handed them over. Silently, Grant examined them, then looked back at Sandra. "Ms. McCoo, everything appears to be in order," Grant stated. "Mr. Cole's documentation is valid." Sandra's face tightened, her lips thinning. "But he doesn't. I mean, it seems suspicious." The system flagged. Victor Grant cut her off firmly. "The system flagged nothing. I see no alerts on this passenger." Sandra insisted, almost desperate. "I want him removed from a lounge area. Just to be safe. We can't be too careful these days." Victor Grant hesitated. You could see the conflict playing out on his face, duty versus decency. He was clearly uncomfortable, caught between airline policy and blatant prejudice. But protocol was protocol. His voice apologetic but firm, he said, "Sir, I apologize, but would you mind coming with me while we sort this out? It's just procedure." Nathaniel replied calmly, "Of course." As Victor began to escort him away, Nathaniel's eyes met those of the young intern, Jamal, who was still watching, phone clutched in his hand, typing furiously. Horror and outrage were plain on his face. Once they were out of earshot, heading towards the sterile anonymity of the security office, Nathaniel discreetly pulled out his phone. One quick, coded call. His voice quiet, decisive, he said, "This is Cole. Protocol Raven. Full spectrum engagement. Begin observation mode." He slipped the phone back into his pocket just as Victor Grant opened the door to the security office. Victor Grant sounded pained. "Mr. Cole, I." Nathaniel cut him off gently. "It's all right, Mr. Grant. I understand. You're doing your job." Victor looked conflicted. "For what it's worth, sir, I recognize who you are. This shouldn't be happening." Nathaniel simply nodded, acknowledging the sentiment, but knowing it changed nothing in that moment. He'd been here before. Not exactly here, perhaps, but in countless similar situations. This time, however, felt different. This time, the scales were weighted differently. This time, the consequences wouldn't just be his own quiet indignation. This time, an empire would tremble. Meanwhile, young Jamal Barnes, hiding behind a pillar near the gate, was texting frantically to his friend Derek in Regalis IT. Jamal texted urgently, "Dude, you are not gonna believe this. They just messed with Nathaniel Cole. Nathaniel Cole. Sandra McCoo had security haul him away like some kind of criminal just for trying to get into first class." In the fluorescent-lit IT break room miles away, Derek Wells nearly choked on his lukewarm coffee. Derek texted back, panicked, "What? Are you serious? Nathaniel Cole, founder of Cole Dynamics. The guy whose AI basically runs half the infrastructure in this place? The Pentagon uses his security protocols. Sandra McCoo did what?" Jamal replied, "Dead serious, man. My senior project at Howard was on his early algorithms. He's a legend, and they treated him like dirt. We are so screwed. Screwed. They had no idea. To understand the magnitude of the storm Regalis Airways had just unleashed, you have to understand the man they had slighted. You have to go back 28 years earlier. Picture this: an 8-year-old boy sits alone on the concrete steps of the Greenwood foster home. Nathaniel, clutching a worn spiral notebook, pages filled not with childish drawings, but with complex numbers, intricate diagrams, equations that would baffle most adults. His social worker, Miss Patterson, sits beside him, her expression kind but weary. Miss Patterson spoke gently. "Your aunt, she's not coming today, Nathaniel. I'm so sorry."
He nods, unsurprised. His aunt, the only family left after the car crash that stole his parents 2 years prior, was a creature of broken promises. Young Nathaniel, quiet and focused, said, "It's okay. I need to finish this anyway." "What are you working on, honey?" Miss Patterson asked. "It's a system," young Nathaniel explained, "to predict patterns. If you can predict patterns, you can prepare for what happens next." Miss Patterson's heart aches. Of course, this brilliant, wounded child, who'd had his world shattered without warning, was obsessed with prediction, with control, with preventing the next unforeseen disaster. "You're a special kid, Nathaniel," she told him. "Someday, everyone's going to know it." By 14, Nathaniel had cycled through 4 foster homes. He endured the casual cruelty of racial slurs in school hallways, the resentment of peers jealous of his effortless intellect, the constant, draining awareness of being the only one in classrooms and neighborhoods. He learned to keep his head down, to observe, to absorb everything, to speak only when absolutely necessary. His notebooks became his refuge, filled with code, algorithms, dreams of systems that could impose order on a chaotic world. At Marshall High, a math teacher, Mr. Winters, saw past the quiet exterior. He noticed a teenager acing calculus exams while others struggled with basic algebra. Mr. Winters encouraged him. "You're wasting your potential here, son. You need a real challenge." Nathaniel replied in a teenage monotone, "I challenge myself." Hesitantly, prompted by Winters' genuine interest, Nathaniel revealed one of his notebooks. The code, the models. Mr. Winters stared, his expression shifting from curiosity to utter astonishment. This is graduate-level work. Nathaniel." Mr. Winters exclaimed, "What is this?" Nathaniel answered with quiet pride, "A predictive model for financial markets. It's just a hobby." Mr. Winters sounded incredulous. "A hobby? Nathaniel, this is extraordinary." For the first time in a long time, a small, genuine smile touched Nathaniel's lips. Someone saw him. Fast forward to 17. 3 jobs. Pre-dawn shifts at a coffee shop. Evenings shelving books at the library. Weekends scrubbing pots in a greasy restaurant kitchen. Every spare cent funneled into salvaged computer parts, crammed into his tiny bedroom in yet another foster home. His foster father, Jim, not unkind, just perpetually weary, found him hunched over the glowing monitor at 3 a.m. Jim's voice was gruff but concerned. "Kid, you're gonna burn yourself out. What's so damn important?" Nathaniel, tired but driven, explained, "Finishing my app. Mid scholarship applications are due. I need this to work." "App?" Jim asked. "What's it do?" "Analyzes historical weather patterns, crop yields, predicts potential food shortages, months in advance. Could help aid organizations." Nathaniel elaborated. Jim just stayed, shaking his head slowly in wonder. "You're something else. Kid, get some sleep. Even geniuses need rest." Nathaniel actually listened, slept for 3 hours. When he got home from his coffee shop shift that afternoon, Jim handed him an express mail envelope. Trembling fingers tore it open. MIT, full scholarship. His foster parents threw him a small party, the first celebration ever held just for him. It should have been the start of a fairy tale. It wasn't. Boston, 2 years later. Nathaniel, now 19, brimming with ideas, sits in a sterile downtown conference room. Across the table, 3 men in slick, expensive suits. Bradley Winston, silver-haired venture capitalist, exudes predatory charm. Andrew Phillips and Robert Davies flank him, their smiles identical, wide, fixed, and utterly insincere. Bradley Winston spoke smoothly, patronizingly. Your algorithm is impressive, Mr. Cole. Rough around the edges, naturally, but we see potential. Nathaniel began earnestly. Thank you. The World Food Program has expressed interest in preliminary testing. Andrew Phillips cut him off. We're prepared to offer you $50,000 for the intellectual property. $50,000 for a system potentially worth millions, capable of saving thousands of lives. Nathaniel frowned. That seems low. The projected value. Winston laughed dismissively. Optimistic. Look, son, we're taking all the risk here. You're just a student. An unproven concept. A concept I built, Nathaniel countered. I tested. It works. Winston's tone was condescending. Such passion. Admirable. But business, Mr. Cole, requires infrastructure. Connections, which we have. You want to apply this to humanitarian efforts, you say? Noble, but hardly profitable. Hedge funds, commodity trading, that's where the real money is. The cold realization hit Nathaniel like a physical blow. They didn't want to save lives. They wanted to strip his creation, weaponize it for profit. Robert Davies sighed impatiently. Let's be practical, Mr. Cole. You're a sophomore. No family, no connections, no wealth. This offer is generous. More than generous. Nathaniel stood, his voice quiet but firm. Thank you for your time, gentlemen. He gathered his prototype. Winston warned him, don't be foolish. Turn us down. We'll simply develop something similar ourselves. Reverse engineer it. You'll get nothing. I'll take my chances, Nathaniel stated. He walked out, head held high, though his stomach churned. 6 months later, Winston's firm launched Market Sense, a predictive trading tool. It bore an uncanny resemblance to Nathaniel's algorithm. They made millions. Nathaniel got nothing. Not a dime. Not even credit. It was his first brutal lesson in the realities of power, race, and capital. Information wasn't enough. Innovation wasn't enough. You needed leverage. You needed power. And he vowed, right then, he would get it. Back in the sterile security office at Washington National, Victor Grant wrestled with his conscience. 20 years in airport security after a career in the Air Force. He'd seen it all. The random screenings that disproportionately targeted minorities. The extra scrutiny applied to black men in expensive suits daring to exist in first-class spaces. He knew Sandra McKay's reputation. He knew this was wrong. Victor Grant spoke formally. I apologize again for the inconvenience, Mr. Cole. This appears to be a misunderstanding. Nathaniel's voice was calm, piercing. Does it? A misunderstanding implies unintentional error, Mr. Grant. This felt quite intentional. Victor looked away, unable to meet Nathaniel's steady gaze. His silence was its own answer. I can't comment on that, sir, Victor finally said. You don't need to, Nathaniel replied. As Nathaniel was finally cleared to leave, his flight now boarding, his phone vibrated. An encrypted message from an unknown number. It read, Mr. Cole, this is Jamal Barnes, Regalis in turn. What happened to you was wrong. Many of us here respect you greatly. Nathaniel paused, considered, then typed back, stay observant, Jamal. Truth reveals itself to the patient. Outside the terminal, parked discreetly, sat a black SUV with heavily tinted windows. Inside, Leo Cora watched the airport entrance, her focus absolute. Head of Global Security for Coal Dynamics. Ex-CIA, recruited personally by Nathaniel 5 years ago. Sharp, analytical, radiating competence. Her secure phone rang.
And we have the resources, Nathaniel confirmed. Prepare full-spectrum engagement. Every skeleton, every closet. Expose it all. Sandra McCoo included. No one is collateral damage. Everyone who participates makes a choice. Across town, in the opulent Regalis Airways corporate headquarters, CEO Charles Whitmore savored a post-golf whiskey. He was relaying good news to his CFO, Martin Reynolds. Charles Whitmore sounded smug and self-satisfied. Great news, Martin. Senator Green assures me those pesky proposed safety regulations. Indefinitely delayed. Further study needed, apparently. Saves us, what? $30 million in upgrades. Martin Reynolds spoke cautiously, at least, Charles. Tom's a good friend, Whitmore continued. Understands how business really works. The intercom buzzed. An assistant's filtered voice announced, Mr. Whitmore, PR needs to brief you on a situation at National Airport. High-profile passenger incident. Whitmore sighed dramatically. Can't PR handle anything? Fine, put them through. A Nova's PR representative explained, Sir, a passenger, Nathaniel Cole, denied lounge access, valid documents, generating social media buzz. Whitmore sounded dismissive. Cole? Nathaniel Cole? Why do I know that name? Oh, right, the tech guy. African-American fellow. Standard response then. Committed to diversity, isolated incident, rogue employee, blah blah blah. Handle it. The PR rep persisted. Sir, I think this might be bigger. Mr. Cole is extremely influential. Whitmore cut him off. Look, just blame the employee, make it go away. Outrage has the attention span of a gnat these days. Forgotten by tomorrow. He hung up. See, Martin, he said to his CFO. Everyone panics over nothing. Cole Dynamics, didn't they do that air traffic control AI thing? Probably. They are all the same, these tech companies. Too much money, too little real-world sense. Don't worry about it. Back at the airport, Erica confronted Sandra in the staff break room. Erica's voice was quiet but firm. Sandra, what happened with that passenger? It was wrong. You know it was. Sandra sounded defensive. Excuse me? I was following protocol. He seemed suspicious. How? Erica challenged. Because he was black. Because he was dressed better than half the people in first class. You targeted him. You left your post to intercept him. Sandra's voice hardened. Men like that always play the victim. Always looking for special treatment. You're too young to understand. I know trouble when I see it. Erica expressed her disbelief. That's the problem, Sandra. You see trouble where there isn't any. Do you even know who that was? Nathaniel Cole. His company is worth billions. For the first time, a flicker of uncertainty crossed Sandra's face. Means nothing to me, she muttered. Maybe it should, Erica replied. Because I guarantee it means something to our executives. As Nathaniel's flight climbed towards cruising altitude, his phone received another encrypted message from Leah. It read, Phase 1 ready. On your command. Nathaniel looked out the window at the receding ground, the Regalis logo gleaming on the wingtip. He typed a simple, two-word reply, begin exposure. The moment Nathaniel's plane touched down in San Francisco, the digital storm broke. Shaky cell phone footage of the lounge incident exploded online. #flying while black trended. News outlets picked it up. Regalis Airways found itself squarely in the crosshays of a PR nightmare. News reports flashed across screens. Tech billionaire Nathaniel Cole allegedly denied lounge access, accusations of racial profiling. Regalis Airways issues statements citing isolated incident and rogue employee. Social media erupts, questioning Regalis' commitment to diversity. At Regalis HQ, Charles Whitmore dismissed the growing crisis. Blame the employee, vague promises, move on, he ordered his frantic communications chief, Teresa Williams. Teresa Williams sounded concerned. Sir, I really think we should reach out personally to Mr. Cole, offer a real apology. Whitmore was irritated. For what? A momentary inconvenience. He made his flight. These things blow over. Meeting adjourned. But this wasn't blowing over. As Whitmore headed to a charity dinner, Leah Okoro's digital phantoms were already slipping through the cracks in Regalis' outdated systems. Subtle glitches began appearing. Flights vanishing from schedules, then reappearing. Reservations mysteriously downgraded. Credit cards declined, then double-charged. In the IT room, the lead engineer panicked. It's like the system is fighting itself. We patch one hole, 3 more open up. It's targeted, hitting our most profitable routes, highest value customers. Simultaneously, Leah's team dove deeper, uncovering years of buried complaints against Sandra McCoo, a clear pattern of discriminatory behavior ignored by HR. They also identified Victor Grant's history of raising ethical concerns, only to be shut down. and they found Jamal Barnes, the intern, providing invaluable intel from the inside. Leah reported over a secure video call, Operation Mirror active. We inside their executive communications. Whitmore has offshore accounts, shell companies. We accessing banking records now. What about Grant? Nathaniel instructed, ethical, but constrained. Reach out quietly. See where he stands. Victor Grant received a call from Leah Okoro. The choice was laid bare: continue enabling the system or help expose it. He stared at the frozen security footage on his screen, Sandra's disdain palpable even in pixels. 20 years of following rules that sometimes felt wrong. For what? Nathaniel met with his mentor, Evelyn Banks, the pioneering black female tech CEO. Evelyn Banks spoke with wisdom and caution. I saw the news. This feels personal, Nathaniel. Nathaniel replied calmly, it is, but it's bigger than me. Regalis is rotten to the core. Financially, ethically. I'm not seeking revenge, Evelyn. I'm seeking transparency. Accountability. You have the power now, Evelyn acknowledged. Just remember what I taught you. True power isn't destruction, it's transformation. Be careful you don't become the monster you fight. As Nathaniel pursued strategic alliances, Charles Whitmore brought in the heavy artillery, Ethan Ross. The fixer. A man known for ruthless crisis management through intimidation and dirty tricks. Ethan Ross spoke in cold, precise tones. This is worse than you described, Whitmore. You've been hacked thoroughly. We identify internal threats first. Neutralize them. We need leverage on Cole himself. Ross immediately targeted Jamal and Victor, pressuring them, trying to turn them or silence them. He dug into Nathaniel's past, finding the story of the stolen algorithm, hoping to use Bradley Winston, now conveniently on Regalis Advisory Board, as leverage. Ross even planted a false sexual harassment story against Nathaniel on a fringe news site. It backfired spectacularly. Leah's team not only intercepted the fake story but exposed Ross's role in planting it and simultaneously leaked documented proof of Whitmore's offshore accounts and financial irregularities to major news outlets. News alerts pinged rapidly. Breaking news. Regalis Airways CEO Charles Whitmore under investigation for massive financial fraud. SEC launches probe. Whistleblowers reveal culture of discrimination and safety violations suppressed for years.